Birdland Today, your daily dose of Orioles talk.
Welcome back to Birdland Today, the daily Orioles podcast where we bring you the latest and greatest from Full for Now for Sarasota, Florida. And today, folks, we're going to dive into some off-season housing. But before we get that, I want to apologize that I missed yesterday. Life just got ahead of me. I believe that's the saying, where things just got busy and I was juggling a bunch of stuff for my day job, the Michael Mara Show, and lost track of time for this. So I apologize. I will try not to miss any other weekdays. Now, the other thing I was working on yesterday was wrapping up some stuff for Breaking Tea. If you're familiar, before this podcast, I had birdlandsports.com, and I've used that platform for many, many years to help other podcasts and other people doing Orioles talk and Orioles shows. And then I got into T-shirt designing. And the problem with T-shirt designing is licensing, because I could make some really awesome Orioles shirts, really awesome player-related shirts, and I didn't have the licensing. Well, at the very end of last season, and I'm talking the end as in it was officially announced on the day the Orioles clinched, was it the day they clinched the playoffs? I believe so. And really, we're talking about 2 weeks while the Orioles were still alive. Last year this took place. But it's been an active relationship all offseason, and I am happy to say that for 2025, Birdland Sports and Breaking Tea is still together. Not only are we still together, that this morning, on Thursday, February 20th, Breaking Tea has released 4 more of my designs. And what's awesome is because of doing this with Breaking Tea, not only do they handle the whole back end stuff for me and fulfillment, they get me through with the player's licensing. So I've got a brand new shirt up there on Breaking. You can go to breakingtea.com/birdland to go directly to my shirts. I've got a new one up there for Felix Bautista. I've got one up there for Jorge Mateo, Jackson Holiday, and a new one featuring Adley Rutschman. A little "don't run ever" on Adley Rutschman, like we used to call out for Matt Wieters. So go on over to breakingtea.com/birdland and check those out. I am so excited to have those out. I'm also irritated that someone hit me up on Twitter about the Section 336 podcast and said that we were negative about the Orioles. And if you guys have been listening to this, if you listen to Section 336, you know that the one thing I am not is negative about the Orioles. I am so excited about this year. I think not only can we make it into the playoffs, I think we can finally win a couple games in the playoffs and maybe make a push deep into the playoffs. I am so excited about this. So for someone to tell me that I am negative about the Orioles was pretty frustrating and irritating. And I don't know how he sees that unless I said something in jest. Anyway, guys, we're going to spend so much time breaking down the Orioles and talking about how big Tyler O'Neill looks in camp, how much muscle Adley put on, and Jackson Holiday, how much control Saguna has on his fastball, how there's other pitchers that we have forgotten about that are making a push. The Orioles announced today that Albert Suarez will start the first spring training game. Now, that doesn't mean much, but Suarez was pretty good last year, so it'll be interesting to see how they plan to use him this year. Now, should we get to today's topic? Because I say all that to say we're not going to talk about player depth and stats and the eye test today. We're going to talk about something that me as a 45-year-old is a little jealous. I miss being young like these players. So we're going to talk about Sarasota, and we're diving into the best off-season housing arrangement in all of baseball. Forget dorm life. Forget host families. Some of your favorite Orioles have gone full-on MTV cribs for spring training. So let's set the scene. It's a beach house in Siesta Keys. There's a pool, there's a dock, there's a putting green. Of course, there's multiple TVs, a bunch of Mario Kart. Oh, and what's that dock there for? Fishing. Because These are young guys. They like to fish. They like to play video games. They like to be competitive. These guys are living the dream in Sarasota while working out and getting ready for the baseball season. So here's the story. Gunnar Henderson, Colton Cowser, Ryan Mountcastle, Adley Rutschman, and Jordan Westberg all rented a house. But they added a new guy, Zach Eflin, who is 31. He's the house dad. He's the old guy in the place. They have turned it into Orioles HQ. And it all started with a simple idea. Hey, we all hang out all day anyway, so why not just get a house and live together? This is what makes this team special. This is what excites me when looking at this season, is that these guys are not coworkers, that they are friends, and close enough friends that they will live together. Now, Zach Eflin, the fact that he's bonded with these young guys is wonderful. He just became a father of 4. Yeah, that's 4 kids he's got. So he thought he'd be rolling solo in Sarasota and needed a place to stay. But he mentioned it to Ryan Mountcastle, who said they had a spot for him. And suddenly the newest bromance in all of baseball was born. So what are they doing with all of that prime beachside real estate? First off, fishing. Snook, drum, snapper, you name it, they've reeled it in. And while Westberg struggles to fit his fishing rods in the car for the 12-hour drive from Texas, it's safe to say they've been well worth it. Nothing like a little peer therapy when your social battery's running low, when you're worn out from baseball practice and drills, to just sit at the end of the dock with your fishing rod in the water. Great way to relax. Now, Gunnar Henderson brought his Nintendo Switch. It's hooked up to TV, and they've got some serious bragging rights on the line over what else would it be? Mario Kart. Is Adley dropping banana peels on his teammates? Is Mountie a secret Rainbow Roadmaster? They really could turn that into a game and stream, and people would watch. Now, what about food? Well, for Valentine's Day, the boys went full chopped champions mode, and Westberg grilled up some New York strips. Adley threw down on some marinated skirt steak, and Gunnar's fiance whipped up a buffalo chicken dip. Meanwhile, Mountcastle's wife served up some pimento ham and cheese sliders. I mean, the food's covered over there. And don't worry, they've got birthdays to celebrate too, because Westberg and Mountcastle both had their birthday just a couple days ago on February 18th. But it's not just all about fun. This is the team chemistry that makes this team special. As Adley Rutschman said, it's just a good camaraderie thing. The guys, they don't just play baseball together, but they love hanging out. And you can see that. You can see the way they play together on the field. You can see the way they're in the dugout. It's what makes this team different than a lot of other teams. And Zach Eflin, the wise vet of the crew, summed it up perfectly. When you got a group of guys that really care about each other, baseball just becomes seamless. And that, my friends, is exactly why this Orioles team is so special. That's what Matt and I talk about on Section 336 all the time. That when we go and play baseball, basketball, any type of competition, we're best as teammates because we're so close and know each other so well. And the fact that we have this on the Orioles clubhouse is really special. So let me know what you think. Who do you think's the best chef in the house? Who do you think's currently the Mario Kart champ? And what's Zach Eflin's role as the old guy in the house? Do you think the young guys make fun of him for being the old guy? Does he wake up the kids like I wake up my kids with dad jokes every day? So hit me up on Birdland today. Respond to the newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter, or the podcast at birdlandtoday.com. You can find me on Twitter at Josh Soroka, and let's talk about that. Until then, enjoy the beach vibes and go O's.